What is going on, guys? It's Raul. We are back. We got round 2 coverage of the Soarin Disc Golf Open. This is the first year that the Soarin Disc Golf Open is going on, so this coverage is awesome. We got a pretty sweet lead card for you today. We got Sias Elmore, Gavin Boss, Zaylin Nash, and Nick Newton. Sias shot a heater yesterday, only taking a couple pars and a couple bogeys. Gavin shooting the 10 down, going to be right on his back with Zaylin right there, and Nick Newton 7 down with plenty of firepower to shoot a hot round. So it's going to be a fun, exciting round to watch today, especially on this layout. There's some tough par 4s, but also a lot of birdieable holes, so it's going to be exciting. And if you guys are watching this and enjoying all the coverage, please make sure to subscribe, like, comment. It goes a long way. So let's go ahead and get into it. Hole 1, this is a par 4. We got the bunker green, short of the basket, OB and hazard in the bunker. And then there's OB long and right. So it's a pretty tight green, but a very short hole. So it's going to be pretty manageable for these guys. Just looking to throw something in the center here and then either throw a forehand or a touchy little backhand in. So see if Sias can leave off or start off where he left off with the heater and get the birdie train rolling again. That's a pretty solid drive. So it's going to put him in pretty much prime position to throw just a dead straight backhand, which is his bread and butter. Gavin's got this overstable Badger. Gonna rip it over on Anheuser and just kind of let it uncoil into the center. And touch it Annie. Should be pretty close to Sias there. Yep, right on that little side slope. Zaylin Nash, he is a San Diego local. To Morley Field. I think he's, I don't even want to guess wrong. He's a 1010 range player. I'll get that number for you guys, but he's a really solid player, won a bunch of events, and yeah, you just always look for him to be at the top. Throwing a squall, which is like a fast mid-range, so definitely only going, or almost going into the bunker, but going to be safe. Nick Newton throwing this slightly stable mid-range. He's been throwing this all weekend, and he's super solid with it. Just putting that on a touch of Annie and just kind of letting it drift over. That's a good spot, but at the same time, it's kind of pinched, so you got to be a little bit more accurate. You don't have as much wiggle room because you're coming in a lot more left to right. Whereas these guys are kind of throwing straight at it. Even Sias looking like he's going long, but that's actually going to hold on and pretty much just be parked. Zaylin going with the sidearm here. Want to say this is a Toro. I know he likes Toros for his approaches, but not sure if he bags any zones or anything. Thought he might have leaked it short, but just barely hangs on and going to be pretty close for the birdie there. Gavin getting a range, deciding if it's either a forehand or a jump putt. Gonna actually jump putt this. This is a long jump putt. And gets it almost basket height. That was almost a run. And Nick also giving that a run. It actually takes a weird little bounce and kind of rolls out of bounds barely. So he's going to have to make this putt for the par, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. Yep, going to have to take a par, but it's not what you want on this hole. Got to expect all the players on the lead card to get a birdie, and the rest of them did, so it's going to be losing one here. All right, moving on to hole 2. We got a big hyzer hole, 380. Can't see the basket from the tee pad, so that's why I'm standing here. And yeah, I think it's a little bit of headwind, so they got to keep it on hyzer, but also kind of push it out straight so it has time to get to the basket and not swing too early. This looks solid, a little bit wide. Kind of pushes straight for longer than we all expected and gets a bounce and stays on the green, so he's going to be putting for the par from there. And I don't believe that's inside the circle either. So an opportunity to get at least one on size here if Gavin can park it. Potentially more. Throws that a little more inside, gets a little bit more swing, and just skips a little long, but gonna have a nice inside the circle putt there for the birdie. Soarin kind of seeing what the wind's doing out there. We're gonna push it wide, but just kind of keep it on a little more hyzer. And that looked like a solid angle out of the hand. That's gonna swing back quite a bit. It's actually a little bit more inside than I could kind of tell from that first sight, but he's going to be towards the edge of circle. Nick, I want to say this is a stable D1. That looks like the angle, and that's going to skip right up there. That's pretty much parked. Saya, so looking at maybe 40 feet or so for the par. Looks like straight tailwind here. Tail right to left. And yeah, that thing just dropped. Was on a good line, just comes up a little bit short. Gonna be taking a bogey. So this is a big opportunity for these guys. Especially for Gavin. He can tie it up right here with a birdie putt. Soarin gonna go 2 for 2. That's a good start. Gavin to tie it up early. This will go a long way getting yourself even within 2 holes. Definitely wouldn't expect this after the way Sias was playing yesterday. There you go, tie game. Nick making a good birdie. All right, hole 3. We got this big landing zone just short of kind of where Dylan's walking there. That thick grassy area, and then shooting up to the green, either a big sidearm or just kind of a flexy backhand shot like what Gavin does. But he's going to be taking this Star Boss, just putting it on a touch of angle and hyzer, just trying to get it to fly straight. Yep, a little more angle because I think it was tailwind. And just letting that tailwind and the stability get it out. That's perfect. Soarin is a pretty backhand dominant player, but probably throws similar amounts of forehands to Gavin, but a little bit more. But he definitely likes to go to the backhand when he can. That is just going to hang on. There's OB left, but that's going to hang on safe. So he's going to have a look for the birdie too. Nick did go OB left yesterday, so I'm sure he's going to be focusing on getting the turn on this or just going with a slightly straighter disc. see if he can make the correction. Oh, and kind of playing the straight hyzer flip on the right side. And that's going to be good. Just fades right before the tree. I think from there the sidearm plays a little bit better just because you can throw it left and get it to swing right. But just depends on kind of how confident you are, because it is a little weird throwing uphill with that nose up. Sias, see if he can bounce back there. And pulls it a little bit, but it's a stable disc. And just hits that tree. He's going to have an opportunity, but it's going to be a tough shot. It's pretty far back. Like, he's probably 50, 60 feet further than Gavin and them. And he has to throw an uphill anhyzer. So this is pretty technical here. And that's why it's so hard, because it looked like it was almost, it's hard to tell what wind it is, but when you're throwing uphill and you have to put it on anhyzer and get it high enough to clear some bunkers, it's tough because the anhyzer keeps the nose down, and throwing uphill, you really want that nose up. Zaylin throws a forehand. He thinks it's going to be short on the green, but it is, in fact, safe. Not by much, but he's going to be putting for birdie. Nick going with the sidearm hyzer.
Maybe a little short.
Thinks it's going to be a little bit short, but it's going to be up there on the green. Gavin going with this Badger again. Just looking to play a little flex shot. Kind of faded out a little bit left. Give himself a nice 15-footer or so. And there you go. It's perfect.
The green is.
So here's Sias's putt for the par again, in danger of taking 2 bogeys in a row. And that one's not close. That's going to be a bogey. So these guys have the chance to take 4 strokes in 2 holes, which does not usually happen. Zaylin converts on a nice putt. So does Nick. Looks like they're going to be all birdieing again. All right. Moving on, hole 4, we got a 345-foot downhill par 3. You really want to just take an overstable kind of fairway driver, maybe even distance driver, just play it out right. We got some left to right wind, so it's kind of keeping the disc straight and just letting the disc kind of slowly fade back to the basket. There is OB left, so that's why these guys are taking it pretty wide. Looks like that thing just kind of dropped for Gavin, but it should be up there, round circle's edge, if not in the circle. Zaylin throwing the squall again. Pretty crazy. He must throw this thing pretty far. It looked to have kind of just dropped though, but it should be up there. Kind of same as Gavin, around circle's edge, maybe just inside. Nick, I believe this is a FX2. And that looks perfect. And it just kind of stays in the air. I think it just kind of skipped and hit the pole, which made it not go as far. So that's pretty much going to be parked. See if Sias can get something going here. Looks to be a pretty solid line, and that should get up there pretty close, I'd imagine. Zaylen's gonna be first. Maybe 25 feet or so, but uphill with a super steep drop off right behind it. That is a great putt for the perfect start.
Oh, I mean, huh? Yeah.
Now we got Gavin's putt for the perfect start. Not too bad. It's pretty level with the basket. Just if he airballs, it's for sure going OB. Gotta commit. Gotta hit middle at the least. And there you go. Good putt. Perfect start. Sia's taking a little bit more time. Surprisingly misses. He was so good from that distance yesterday. Did not expect to see a miss there. Gonna have to lose another stroke to these guys. And Nick's gonna tap in his birdie. So these guys are playing lights out right now. Just putting the pressure on early. Hole 5, Gavin is in the lead, but he did throw this one OB and make a crazy par save yesterday, but definitely want to get one in bounds here. Oh, yeah, and he pulled it yesterday, just leaks it early today. That's going to be a weird spot. Zaylen opting for the sidearm. So you can definitely see he's a little more comfortable with the sidearm, kind of going with it on some of the tee shots. And I'm not sure what that disc is, but definitely looked pretty overstable. That's perfect position. Nick leaked his a little bit left yesterday, putting him in a slightly awkward position. So let's see if he can keep this one a little bit more center. And looks to have done so, but getting stable.
Much better.
But that looks good. It's a little further back, gonna have a little bit more open of an angle. Sias really needing to do something here. Already 3 back of the leader. That is pulled, and a slightly unfortunate break. It kind of caught that limb that looked light and just dropped straight down. Either way, he's going to have a shot for the par. Kind of a similar shot that Gavin had yesterday. Big high turnover. Kind of getting dropped down though. And just, yep, sticks on the green. So he's going to be likely taking a double. Zaylen throwing a nice little turnover here. Surprising he didn't go with the forehand, but I know he likes that rat, kind of putting it on that touch of Annie angle and just letting it drift. Good looking shot from Nick here. Drifty putter that should be around circle's edge.
Okay, that's good.
It must be a slow disc if he knew that that was coming up short like that. Or maybe just because he threw it high. So Gavin has no option but to pitch out. So he's going to be trying to jump up to the top and just getting up and down from there. So makes good work from there. Just got a pretty simple up and down. Going with the forehand here just because there's not a lot of room right. And that just comes out way early. He's going to have a lot longer of a putt than you would have wanted from there. So Sias throwing his upshot, gonna have to take a double if that's close. Yeah, Nick a little bit shorter than you would have wanted from there, and gonna have to take a par. Here's Gavin to save his par. Not a bad putt, just little low left, kind of got that 50-50, and just didn't make it this time. So Zaylen to take 2 on Gavin. And tie him up. Hole 6, 365 downhill. We got the big green short and right of the basket, and then the bunker short left. I imagine all these guys are going to be going backhand. There is a forehand line, but the backhand is more optimal. You can kind of play it out right. Zaylen leaks it. That's going to be going into that shrubbery way long, but it is going to be inbounds. Nick probably deciding between one of the FX2s. And that's a great looking shot. That is exactly how you want to play it. Touch of Anheuser just drifting the whole time and getting the late little straight skip to the basket. That should be parked unless it rolls, because it is on kind of a little slope there. Gavin overturned this FD3 a little bit.
I was going to do the same thing.
Yep. Giving him some caddy advice there. And that's perfect. Kind of the same line, just a touch less angle, and that's going to be perfect. Sias going with the same stable green disc he's been throwing all weekend. He's got some ground to make up, though. He needs to start putting a lot of birdies together. And that's a good-looking shot. Skips by the basket, though, so it's probably going to be a slightly longer putt than Nick and Gavin's. So Zaylen is actually way back on the fence back there. They were looking for his disc, and they found it kind of just pushed up on the fence. I don't even know if you can see him. There he is. And actually, right before that, he put his left hand, thankfully, into a pond front and cut it pretty bad. So it was kind of hurting him. So he just jump putted that, and he was definitely feeling the pain. But like I said, thankfully, it was his left hand. There you go. Sias hitting a good putt uphill, obstructed, but making it happen. Nick barely getting that thing in. That kind of seems like a weird putt for him. Downhill, right to left, because his putt comes from low to high, and right to left pushes it up. So it seems like it might be a little bit of an awkward putt going downhill. Yep, there's the par from Zaylin. And Gavin with the tapping. Yeah, you could see him holding his hand there.
That was good.
Alright, hole 7, 390. OB left and OB bunker short, so it's a pretty small green. Really just want to throw something over the green and bump it into the kind of disc golf green past it to the left. It's a good looking shot, a little wide, but it's better safe right than OB left because he's going to be putting for birdie. Nick threw this shot really well yesterday. Looks to be solid, a little higher than yesterday. Should be safe just long of the basket. Sias also getting this one yesterday. Nick's back there asking me if it's safe or not. I'm like, I don't know, man. I can't make that call from here. And Sias skips right in front of the basket. I also wasn't sure about this one. He was asking me, and I was like, I don't know, dude. And I'll let you guys know it did end up being OB. Zaylin throwing a Thunderbird, I believe, and just kind of skipping off the green, and that's going to be up there for a birdie putt. Little bit of wind, OB long. Definitely a nervy little putt here. But hammers it dead center. His putt's looking great right now. So Gavin got one, got the lead back on the last hole, but needs to make this putt to keep it. And like I said, OB right behind, so it can easily be a two-stroke swing if he were to miss it. But makes it confidently. Gonna keep the lead. Nick with a surprising air ball there. I don't know if he had some stuff in his way or maybe just the wind, but surprising air ball. I feel like he usually doesn't airball, just with that kind of push putt, using his arm a lot, so I was not expecting that. Sias cleaning up the par. And Nick just with an unfortunate 3-putt. That thing definitely could have stuck, but just kind of bounced out left. Gonna have to take a bogey there. Hole 8, I think this is probably the hardest par 4 on the course. Really technical tee shot. Got to throw kind of a penetrating hyzer flip or like a baby flex shot into the open, and then also has a very tough green with bunkers short and OB long. So a lot of places to earn yourself some extra strokes here. And Gavin just barely under committing to the flex, but that's going to sit safe. And Nick got a birdie from there yesterday, so it's definitely doable. Zaylin, I think this is one of those like baby destroyers that are a little lightweight, but he just hyzer flips that thing to perfection. I don't think you can be in a better spot than that. Sias threw this perfect yesterday, so let's see if he can repeat that. Pretty much looks perfect. Gonna be a little bit left this time, but that is gonna be fine. Nick, not sure what this disc is. But going with the little flex shot here. Should be inbounds just on that left side too. Yep. He's going to have a decision. He can either go flex shot left of that tree or big hyzer. Here's the basket from here. You can see the green is super tight. So it looks like he's lining up the wide hyzer, kind of swooping this one up, letting it swing back the whole way. And that looks
faster, harder, quicker.
It's funny commentary, but that skips up there perfectly just past the bunker, and anywhere that, like, anything that just barely gets past the bunker is pretty much perfect. So Gavin opts for this Halo Destroyer here, and they all thought it was going in, but it goes long into the bushes. And I'll spoil it. We go down there, look for it, gets timed, and is actually going to have to come back and re-throw. So we'll show that after these guys' shots. So Sias taking it nice and wide. Also just getting barely over that bunker, so he's going to be putting for birdie. And Zaylin, like I said, perfect position. I think this is the rat. Yep, that's the rat, that orange disc. Seems like straight but overstable, so that's going to be perfect. He's stoked. He says he never birdies this in tournament, so he was hyped. And yeah, this is Gavin after we drove back over here to reestablish his lie, to re-throw after we couldn't find his disc. So this is to get up and down for the bogey, and he throws a pretty good shot. He's going to have a putt. And we're going to have Sias putting first, just barely in these kind of reeds. Slightly obstructed. Or I guess a little bit more than slightly. And yeah, it was probably a super weird putt. Looks like he kind of just tossed it up there. Gavin earned himself a bogey putt. Sure, he wished he threw that disc on the first try, but you know what? This will be a good save, and he does it. So a bogey overall is honestly not too bad. Sias just taking a par there, no harm, no foul, but definitely needs to get on the birdie train because Zaylin is heating up. And Nick getting the tap-in birdie there. So hole 9, Zaylin now has the lead at 15 down, 1 over Gavin, and 4 over Nick, and then 5 over Sias. Looks to have thrown another good shot. He's shooting a hot front 9 right now. Nick throwing a nice shot, kind of getting on that little ridge up to the left. Should be well inside the circle. Sias, this looks like a good width. Should come back and skip right to it. Gavin going to be trailing Zaylin for the first time. Oh, and that thing kind of got a little extra push right. Almost even goes into the bunker, but gonna be inside the circle as well. Maybe a little further than he would have liked, but he's been putting very well this tournament. There you go. Solid putt for Nick. Definitely still in the mix going into the back. Gavin kind of on the upslope from the basket, but it's elevated, so it kind of ends up being just a flat putt here. Another good putt. Zaylin, I think he threw that squall again. He's throwing that thing all over the place.
Oh, he made it. We're good. We're good.
All right, so after 9 holes, we got Zaylin in the lead at 16 down, shooting at 8 down on the front 9. Absolute scorcher. Gavin, 15 down. Nick Newton, 12 down. And Sias at 11. The back 9 is going to be super exciting. All these guys are definitely still in contention, but it's going to be a good finish, that's for sure. So thanks for watching, guys. We will see you on the back 9.